If you're a creative working 10 to 12 hours a day and your business isn't growing, this is for you. Because the problem isn't that you're not working hard enough. The problem is you're working on the wrong things. I know this because I run a $1 million business while working less than 20 hours a week. And I've personally helped hundreds of creatives just like you scale to 6 and even 7 figures. And what I've found is the difference between creatives, those who are stuck at 100K and those hitting $1 million, isn't talent, hustle, or luck. It's strategic focus, deciding to work on the business instead of in the business. And in this video, I'm breaking it all down for you, showing you exactly what to work on using my proven 5-part CEO planning system. Maybe you can relate to this. Most creatives just wake up every day and do whatever they feel like doing. They open up their laptop, see an email, see a message from a client, they're responding to that. Get a personal notification from their mom, handle that, and then see an Instagram comment and they're replying to that. So essentially, they're all over the place, just reacting to whatever comes at them. And because they're so reactive, the entire day gets filled up with reactive work. They're running the day based on feelings rather than a plan. And they get to the end of the day and they're exhausted. They've worked 10, 12 hours. They were so busy the entire time, but the business didn't actually move forward. I know this because once upon a time, I used to be like that. And here's the thing. What you missed out was you didn't work on marketing. You didn't build any systems. You didn't work on your offer. You didn't plan how to hire. You didn't train your team if you have one. All the stuff that actually grows the business, it actually didn't get done. So instead, you're stuck working in the business instead of on the business. So let me give you an example. I have a client, a wedding photographer. She was working 60 plus hours every single week. She was constantly busy, but she felt stuck. When I actually audited her time, we found that 58 hours were being spent on delivery and admin, basically client work, editing, emails, scheduling, all that good stuff, right? It's essentially reactive stuff. And only 2 hours out of those 60 were being spent on what I call CEO work, marketing, sales, building systems, working on strategy, working on the long-term vision. And really, this client of mine, she couldn't figure out why she wasn't growing despite putting in all this time, energy, and effort. But it's simple. The business can't grow if you're not working on growth. And here's the thing. This isn't a discipline problem because you're not lazy, you're not unmotivated. The problem is you don't have a system. So you just wake up without a plan. You let urgency dictate your day, and reactive work just fills up all the available time. So you're constantly busy, but you're not actually being productive. You're not actually moving the business forward. And so the solution isn't to just work more hours, to grind and hustle harder. The solution is to actually protect time for the work that actually matters, the CEO work that I'm talking about. So that's what the rest of this video is going to be all about. So here's what separates a 100K creative from a $1 million creative. They understand what I call the 80-20 rule. Now, if you've never heard of the 80-20 rule, let me quickly explain it because it's going to change how you fundamentally see your business. You see, the 80-20 rule, it's also called the Pareto principle. And what that essentially says is 80% of what you're gaining from your business comes from 20% of your efforts. So like if we look at your entire business, right, growth as like this little pie, right here, 80%. Majority of the growth that we are actually seeing in our business is going to be coming from this one little slice of the pie, this 20%. And the rest of the stuff that you're doing is essentially busy work. Like it's filling up a lot of the time, but it's actually not moving the revenue or the needle forward in your business. And this is true for all aspects of your business, right? If you have a look, you're going to see that 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your clients. You will also see that 80% of your headaches comes from 20% of your sources. And sources could be you might have a few nightmare clients. Sources could be you might have a few friends that just keep interrupting your life and your business. Sources could be anything, right? So essentially, understanding that 80% of your growth comes from 20% of the work you're doing. So here's what this actually means for your business. Most of what you do every day, again, I'm going to repeat, doesn't move the needle. So you're essentially spending time on tasks that feel productive, but doesn't actually create growth. The $1 million creatives, well, they've identified that 20%, and that's how I got to that 7-figure mark. I ended up spending most of the times on those kind of needle moving growth activities, and the people that are stuck at 100K, they're essentially spreading themselves thin, doing a lot of different things, a lot of different tasks, and not prioritizing. They're thinking every single task is just as equally important, and they wonder why they're stuck. So the question becomes, what is that 20% that you should be focusing on? What are the activities that actually allow you to grow your business? So let me break it down for you. And these are going to be your 3 CEO priorities. And these are the only things that truly matter, okay? So the first bucket that I'm going to kind of talk about is revenue generation. Because let's be honest, right? As much as we love what we do, if clients aren't coming in, if leads aren't coming in, and people aren't paying us, then we can't stay in business. So this is kind of number 1 that you need to be focusing on, revenue generation, right? And so this is anything that brings money into the business. It could be content creation, running ads, building funnels, taking sales calls, follow-up systems. This is all revenue generation. The next thing that I'm going to be focused on is what I called systems building, because if you start making money without any systems, essentially what you're going to create is chaos, because you're going to have this entire boatload of work and you have no systems to deliver on that work. You have no systems to actually hire a team to tell them this is how you do excellent work in our company. So as far as systems buildings goes, things like automation, anything that allows the business to work without you, creating what I call SOPs, standard operating procedures, hiring, training your team, building workflows, creating templates for other people to follow. That's systems building. The third thing you have to actually focus on is what I call service innovation. Because look, if you want to have a creative career that lasts the length of time, right? It stands the test of time. You have to innovate on your client experience and your delivery. You can't just say, that's how it is and that's how I'm going to keep it. You always have to up level that game. So refining the client experience is super, super crucial. So you have to essentially make your products and services better. You have to optimize your back-end workflows. You have to constantly get client feedback. Sometimes feedback sucks, right? But that's how you get better. You have to also upgrade your offer. You have to see, okay, these are what my best clients keep telling me or raving about. This is how I'm going to update my offer, okay? So essentially, you have these 3 things: revenue generation, systems building, service innovation. And those are the 3 priorities. And everything else that you do, well, handling emails, admin work, whatever you want to put onto your calendar, well, they're essentially busy work. So here's the real test for you. When you're about to spend time on something, I want you to ask yourself, does this help us get more clients? Does this actually build systems that create leverage, more peace of mind, more ease for me and my team? Does it actually improve our service and make clients rave about us even more? If the answer is no, it's essentially busy work disguised as CEO work. And a lot of the times, I've had clients who have come to me and they've spent 3 weeks, 4 weeks redesigning their website. They came and they made their entire website look so beautiful, and they've told me, Mahmoud, I've been working on this. This is going to be the next best thing for my business. And I asked them, well, look, does this actually help you get more clients right now? Does it build leverage for the future? Does it improve your service? And they pause and they're like, well, it looks better. And I'm saying, well, that's not CEO work. That's busy work that feels productive. And oftentimes, you do all that busy work because the CEO work can be, not so fun, right? You want to avoid it because that's the hard stuff in business. And here's the key insight. The creatives that I've worked with, that I've helped hit 6 figures and 7 figures, I've taught them to protect 4 hours a day just for CEO work. That's all you have to do. Just 4 hours a day is going to generate more growth than the other 40 hours or more than 40 hours that you're spending right now. Because essentially, you're going to be focusing on the 20% that actually matters, right? Revenue generation, systems building, service innovation. And by the way, if you want the exact framework I use with my clients to identify their biggest bottlenecks and prioritize CEO work, I've created a free resource down below called the Sunday CEO Session Template. It's in the description. It's going to walk you through the exact questions to ask yourself every single Sunday. All right, so now let me show you how to actually do this. It starts with what I call the Sunday CEO planning session, because before the week even starts, you need just 20 minutes of strategic clarity, because this is how you avoid frantically waking up every Monday and being like, what should I work on? And getting your entire week into a jumble mess. So essentially, this is going to be the foundation of everything. So step one is going to be vision alignment. I just want you to take 5 minutes and ask yourself, what's my 1-year goal? Like, where am I trying to go? Because most creatives operate on feelings. They're like, I feel like I should be doing more, but without a clear goal, you're just chasing your own tail. So define it. What does doing more mean for you? Like, is there a certain revenue or profit you're trying to hit? What does your dream business actually look like? And what does your dream life actually look like? And how does your dream business and life actually go together? I want you to write it all down, because this is what's going to keep you aligned. And yes, you might have this long-term vision 5 years, 10 years down the line, but right now we just want to focus on what are we trying to achieve in the next 1 year. Next thing is step number 2, which is bottleneck identification. So what's the one thing actually blocking you right now? And for a lot of you guys, you might be like, hey, what the heck is bottleneck? What is Mahmoud actually talking about? So let me actually explain to this very quickly. So what I want you to do is imagine this, okay? This is a water pipe right here. And let's just see this. Now, this is a water pipe, and forgive my drawing. I am not the best at drawing right here. And now let's imagine for a second, right? Water's flowing, but right here, there's a little pebble and it's blocking the flow of water, right? And it's coming into a tiny trickle, boom, boom, boom. And I want you to imagine for a second, then this cup right here is money, or it is happiness, whatever you truly care about in business, right? And so when we have a blockage in this pipe, it doesn't matter how much water we pump through it, right? Think about it. If you step on a garden hose, it's blocking the flow of water. So this right here, it's what's called a bottleneck in business. Now, why am I saying all of this? Well, essentially, it's super important for you to understand where's the bottleneck in your business, because you have a dream, right? You have a dream business, and that dream business gets you a dream life. Then my question is, you are here currently, and there is this road, and there's this set of rocks, right? And these are your bottlenecks, because you have lots of different bottlenecks that's preventing you from actually achieving that dream business, that dream life. So you have to understand, well, what's my bottleneck right now? What's the one thing that I have to focus on? And your job is to start knocking each of these bottlenecks out so we can kind of remove them. Boom, this bottleneck is gone. Boom, this one is gone. Boom, this one is gone. And then now we basically have this clear path for you to go from one side to the other and achieve all of your dreams. Now, this is exactly what business is all about. So again, it really doesn't matter whether, you're working on something down here when you haven't even solved the first bottleneck, right? So you could be working on this, but again, it doesn't matter. Business works in this same way. You might have an amazing offer, great marketing, you're very talented, but if one part of your system is broken or missing, everything gets stuck there. So the question you have to ask yourself right now is, where's my bottleneck right now? Is it lead flow? You don't have enough kind of leads and clients coming in. Is it that you could handle more clients, but you don't have enough people to sell to? Is it sales conversions? You have leads, you're getting them on calls, but you're not able to actually close them. Maybe people are interested, but they're just not buying from you? Is it delivery capacity? You're personally maxed out. You have enough demand, but you can't physically take on more work because you're doing everything yourself. Is it team? You need help, you want to hire, but you don't know how to even hire or what are the first few steps to essentially create this entire team. I really want you to be honest and identify the bottleneck, okay? Because here's the thing, until you fix the first bottleneck, nothing else matters. You can work on 100 other things, but if you don't fix the bottleneck, your business stays stuck at the same level. Step number 3 is going to be what I call needle movers. And you're going to spend a good chunk of time on this, right? I want you to kind of brainstorm what are the 3 to 5 actions that actually move the needle this week. So let me define what I mean by needle moving. So needle moving truly means is, you see, we talked about this bottleneck. I want you to come down over here and figure out, okay, action 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5, okay? Here are 5 strategic things that I could do to solve this bottleneck problem, okay? And you brainstorm all of that. If your bottleneck is lead flow, your needle movers might be, hey, I'm going to create 3 pieces of content every single week. I'm going to launch a Meta Ads campaign. I'm going to reach out to 10 referral partners. If your bottleneck is, let's say, delivery, your needle movers might be, okay, I'm going to actually hire that video editor that I've been talking about. I'm going to actually document what my workflow is in the back end. I'm going to maybe hire and train an assistant to handle all the minor client communication. Whatever addresses that bottleneck, that's what is going to be going over here in your needle movers action list, okay? Step number 4 is going to be what I call the one thing. So out of those 3 to 5 needle movers, what's the single most important thing that you can accomplish this week? So let's say out of those 5, you only pick one thing to do. What is that thing? That becomes your Monday morning CEO block. It's non-negotiable. So here's what I personally like to do after I've done all this brainstorming and I know, okay, next week, if only this one thing gets done, it's this. Once I've found what this is, I sit down and I kind of map this all out and I plan it, okay? So every Sunday at 4 p.m., I sit down and I do this exercise and I ask myself, well, what's my bottleneck this week? Is it lead flow? Is it team capacity? Is it client delivery? And once I've identified, I know exactly what my CEO work needs to focus on Monday morning. And here's what's going to happen. You go from operating on feelings to operating on strategy. You go from doing just reactive work to proactive work. And you go from busy to actually productive and profitable. So again, this 20-minute session is going to give you strategic compass for the entire week. Okay, so now that you've done your Sunday CEO session, you know your one thing. Now you need to actually protect the time to actually do it. And this is the 4-hour CEO block. And this is where most creatives fail. They know what to work on, but they don't essentially protect the time and block out the time to actually do it. They let it get eaten up by reactive work. So here's the calendar blueprint, Monday through Wednesday mornings, which is right down here. So here is a calendar template. What I want you to do is Monday through Wednesday mornings, let's just say 8 a.m.s, right? As soon as you kind of wake up, boom, I want you to block out 4 hours for this deep work, for the CEO work right here. Okay, and you're going to repeat this from Monday all the way through Wednesday. And this is when you're going to work on those needle movers that we discussed. Your marketing, your systems, your hiring, whatever moves the business forward. And you might be asking, well, why the morning? Well, because that's when your cognitive energy is at its highest. Early in the week, early in the day, before the world actually gets noisy. And I want you to work in 90-minute deep work sprints. 90 minutes on, 10 minutes break, 90 minutes on. That's your 4-hour block. Front load the week with the heavy lifting. So by Wednesday noon, you've knocked out 12 hours of pure CEO work, that the most important work of your week is almost done. And afternoons, well, that's when, client work happens. Meetings, delivery, calls, all the stuff that needs to get done, but doesn't actually grow the business. So that's what Thursday and Friday's for. That's when all the reactive work happens. Admin, email, team support, all that stuff that just pops out through the week, okay? But the growth work, the CEO work, that's protected at the front of the week when you're still feeling fresh. Now, here's the critical part. This is what I call the protection protocol, because if you don't protect your CEO blocks, they actually disappear. Clients will ask for urgent calls. Your team, if you have one, will start to pop in and ask you questions. Fires will just emerge. So here are the rules. Number one, no email before CEO work is done. I haven't checked my email before 11 a.m. in 2 years. My team knows this. My clients know this. My business 5x'd because of it. Rule number two is no social media, no text, no notifications. Put your phone on do not disturb. Social media just closed, tucked away. It's just you and the CEO work that's in front of you. Rule number three, if you do have a team, train them. Mornings are CEO time. They need to know that. So unless the building is on fire, it can wait until the afternoon. And I want you to really set a boundary, defend that boundary, because the moment you let CEO time get kind of eroded, you're back on the hamster wheel. Now, look, I get it. The first week is going to be hard. You're going to feel guilty. You're going to want to check your email. You're going to think that something's going to break. You're going to want to be reactive because you've programmed yourself to do that. But here's what I can tell you. Nothing is going to break. Everything is going to stay fine. Clients really don't care. They just want their work done well and on time. The wedding photographer that I mentioned earlier in the video, well, when we implemented this calendar structure, she went from 60 hours a week to 30 hours a week, and her revenue skyrocketed and hit 30K a month within 4 months. Not because she was working harder, but she was working on the right things at the right time. So here's what I can tell you. The creatives making $1 million plus all have one thing in common. They protect CEO time like their business depends on it, because it truly does. Now, if you're watching this and you're thinking, Mahmoud, I get the concept, but I actually need help building these systems in my business, well, that's exactly what Aligned HQ is for. We help creative business owners like you build the calendar, the systems, the team, and the marketing to make all of this come to life. So if you want to talk more, there's a link in the description to book a call with my team. So the last piece, this is the final piece of the puzzle. This is what's going to keep you from wasting time on shiny objects. Most creatives are constantly chasing new tactics. They hear about viral reels, so they spend a month on that. Then they hear about email marketing, so they jump to that. Then they hear about some new shiny business strategy that's going to make them $1 gazillion, so they jump onto that. And then they wonder why nothing is working, even though they're trying this, that, and everything in the world. So here's a simple mental model that fixes this, okay? This is what I call the HEF system. So again, this is what I call the HEF system. So HEF starts for hypothesis, and hypothesis essentially is an idea, okay? Meaning like if I post more ads, I will get more leads. It's basically, hey, this is my hypothesis. If this is happening, great. And the E stands for experiment. So I might actually run an experiment to see, hey, does that actually happen? That if I'm creating more ads, I'm actually getting more leads. And then you have stages, which is proven and failed. You basically want to come up with a hypothesis, and you want to conduct an experiment over a 7 to 30-day period, depending on how long it's going to actually take to see results. And then you track it and you see what happens. Proven means, great, it worked. Failed means, of course, it didn't work. Let's not do it again. That was sad. So here's the key. The 80-20 split, well, I want you to spend 80% of your CEO time on proven tactics or needle movers, okay? The stuff that's already working, the marketing platforms that's bringing you clients, the systems that are already running smooth, the team processes that are already dialed in, and then spend 20% of your CEO time on experiments, testing new ideas, testing new platforms, exploring new offers, but never abandon the proven stuff to chase the experiment. Because let me tell you a story, okay? 6 months ago, everyone was talking about viral content and personal branding. And I have to admit, I got sucked in and I spent 80% of my time creating reels and short form content and, all that good jazz. And the revenue dipped. Why? Because I took my focus off what was proven for my company, which was running ads, taking sales calls, client delivery systems. And instead, I just ran after this experimental hypothesis. And that's the day I realized this. I flipped it back to 80% proven, 20% experiment, because revenue comes from what's already working. So here's how you should be implementing this. This is what I call the backlog system, okay? Essentially, you can take out a little notepad. It could be on your phone. It could be just a physical notepad. I just want you to have a backlog, and I want you to keep all of your hypotheses, basically just a running tally of things. You know, that brilliant idea that you just came up with? Well, just write it down. Don't act on it right now. And during your Sunday CEO session, review your backlog and pick one experiment for the week, just one. Run it like a scientist, change nothing else, track the results, and then decide, does this become proven for us or does it go into the failed pile? The creatives stuck at 100K are constantly chasing new tactics. The creatives hitting $1 million are doubling down on what's actually working for them, what's actually proven, and only testing one thing at a time. And so that's the difference. So let's recap the 5 parts, okay? Part 1 was the revenue roller coaster. This happens when you're stuck on reactive mode, working in the business rather than on the business. Part 2 was the 80-20 principle. 80% of your growth is going to come from 20% of your activities. The 3 CEO priorities are revenue generation, systems building, and 3, service innovation. And everything else is literally just busy work. Part 3 was the Sunday CEO planning session. I want you to take 20 minutes every Sunday, have that vision alignment, understand your bottleneck, figure out your needle movers, and just pick one thing from your needle movers list. And part 4 was the 4-hour CEO block. So Monday through Wednesday mornings, protect 4 hours a day for CEO work. I want you to front load the week. Use the protection protocol, defend your boundary. And part 5 was the HEF system. I want you to spend 80% of your time on proven tactics and 20% on experiments. And I want you to use a backlog for all those amazing ideas that pop up and then just test one thing at a time. And so this is how you think like a creative CEO. And this is the difference between staying stuck at 100K and scaling past multiple 6 figures. So look, if you're tired of working 60 plus hours a week and staying stuck, if you know you're talented, but your business feels like a chaotic black box, this is your sign. Go down below and book in a call with my team. We'll map out exactly what CEO systems your business needs in order to scale. Link is in the description down below. This is literally what I do on a daily basis. We help creative business owners like you build the foundations that turn chaotic creative practices into real, sustainable, profitable, calm companies. I've worked with hundreds of creatives at this point, and the ones who implement the system, they literally break through. So drop a comment. Let me know what's the one thing you're going to work on this week. And if you want that free Sunday CEO session template, it's in the link down below with all the prompts and frameworks. Grab it, start this Sunday. Let's build something remarkable, and I'll see you in the next video.